Okay, so let's get some more hands-on experience using dev tools. So we got introduced to dev tools back when we did the hack, the inspect hack. And the more, and now you may have heard me say this at that assignment, the more you learn about dev tools, the more you, in my opinion, come to really appreciate how much information is in there. So anytime I can add some content that enhances what we're learning, I generally will. And in this case, dev tools is it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to choose two sites. Okay, each of you are going to choose two different sites, and you can choose very different sites or similar. I said different here, and then as I was thinking about it, it's like, well, really, I'm going to let you choose the two sites you want to use. And then what you're going to do is you're going to do a resource count, and I'll show you how to do this in a minute. And this is basically saying what does it take to deliver all the things that you see on the page to you. Because the thing that is really good to start understanding is that when you're browsing the web, you're not actually out there looking at what is out there, you're actually bringing that to you. And so the browser is coordinating a lot of stuff happening from the time you click on something until you see that rendered. And this is a term you hear a lot once you're in this industry, rendered to your local system. And that's why this is something you may have heard called cache, and not cash money, but cache, to where what happens over time is your local system builds more and more, and you can have your browser automatically get rid of that. And there's various reasonings behind that, but that's just to tell you. I mean, you're not browsing the web, you're bringing the web to you. So if I had to rephrase it in your head, that's what I would try. Because maybe you already have that mental model, but if you don't, try to do it. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to get in and look at those, and there's requests and there's resources. And so I want you to note those as you look at it. You'll end up taking a print screen of the two that you're comparing, and you can either do one for each one, or I'll show you. Probably not that hard to imagine how you could take one, but just have your screen split between the two of them. So the other thing you're going to do is you're going to actually look and find some CSS you don't fully recognize, which is probably most of it, because at this point you've only got a touch of CSS. So and then copy that into something like AI, and I should have put in was like Gemini or Chat GPT or whatever your favorite is. Um, to explain what the code is. And this is where you can think about how to write prompts. So again, we're trying to reinforce the idea. I haven't given you a specific prompt. I've kind of let you just do this on your own. Because at this point, and I'm guessing this is true, it's like anything else. The more you use something, the more you learn how to effectively use something. Okay, so I'll show you how to grab that block in a second. So then you compare them side by side, showing the network, right? And then you squish to resize it. And this is going to go in your public, right? Your public repo under your screenshots. Okay. Then you're going to embed that, right? So this is where we've done this a couple times now. So by now you'd know how to embed, right? Okay. So when you're doing your writing part, which two sites did you audit and which one was heavier in terms of request and resources? What was the most interesting thing AI explained about the CSS code you found? Based on what you saw, how does professional CSS differ from what we've started with the cafe? What the, right, so much different, right? But that's okay, because that's part of learning. And then they interact, and then that's the way it's created. So let's take a look. I actually chose like two for me. So Ruby, I actually mentioned this one when I was doing my hack, right? So what I'd do here is first take a look at Ruby and spend a little time here. So when I right click, hit inspect, okay. Now this is where you may not see it immediately, but when you use these little arrow right here, you actually get more tabs. And if you go to network, now this is where it is kind of trippy. If you've never done this, which I'm guessing most of you haven't, now go refresh the page. Wow. I mean, look at all the requests. These are all the things that had to happen to bring this to your local machine so your browser could render it. Okay. So 266 requests. And by the way, they're still coming in because some of them are not, and there's various ways we talk about this. Some are below the fold, some are just coming in as maybe they're updating content. It's hard to say. They have this interaction button, so they may have something there. Okay, so these are the things you're going to note. Okay, maybe how long did it take, and just the resources in general, right? So the other thing while we're here, I could do, right, is I would also expand out when I'm going to do my CSS part of this work, right? So in this case, when I'm here, right, I must have, hold on, I got to bring back mine. Hold on just a second. What it was is it was on this. So this is your main navigation, and then within your elements, you also, and this will depend on your screen resolution. So what happens is as your screen resolution changes, right, and you have more or less room, some things may drop. And so when you're in elements, look for styles, right? So you have a varying, right? And just a ton of stuff here. So that might not be a block, right? And the root is really what we could talk about, which is an agent, but we reset because actually a browser itself has some built-in base styles that are called the user agent, but then we reset that. But this, you look through here, right? So you look through here, the body doesn't have a lot on it. We got a base. So look through here and find something. Oh, var, variable. Okay, so that might be something you want to know about. So like, why do we have variables? And if you don't know anything about programming, that's okay. Pseudocode. So this is also where this is specific to the item that I'm looking at. So if I went over to right click and hit inspect here, right? Wow. Now what this shows me is that image right there is actually an SVG. Now we haven't talked about SVGs, and this is just using numbers to recreate an image versus having a pixelated image. But in this case, I could roll through here and look at all the CSS related to that. Okay. Whew. Let me try that one more time. I'm actually right here. Yeah. Okay. So in this case, grab one of these, right? So grab one that may not have so much, right? Grab that, copy it, go over to your whatever Gen AI tool you want to use and say, explain this to me. And you might preface it by giving it a persona, like I am playing with dev tools, learning how to compare sites, or I want to know just, I'm learning very beginning CSS. Tell me what this CSS does, what it does to the page or how it creates the page. So again, play with your prompting here. Okay. So I gave you that, but the other thing I was going to show you is that you could, in this case, and I'm going to drop this here just so I can show you, you could, might be a little messy, right? But you could put them, because here would be the other one I'd want to look at. So in this case, I'd probably want to come back over here, right? Make sure I'm on my network tab, which in this case is a little bit harder to see until I actually do this. And this is where you play around a little bit. You go, okay, give me the network tab here, right? So you could take two of these again if you wanted. Okay, so this is where now I'm going to look at this side. I'm going to right click. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to the network tab. Cool. I'm going to hit a refresh. And my guess, okay. Now, by the way, this also changes, right? Based on what you've done as well. Notice how if I hit refresh again, right? When you do a refresh, it goes back out and grabs all those resources, right? So, and it's faster if it has some of them local, right? So that's the whole cache idea. But for now, we're just looking at resources, right? So arrange this so maybe you could see both of them somewhat okay. Half and half the screen, or like I said, you can always take two if you want. Okay, so you would take your print screen there. You would, let me bring the other one back. Here it is. Okay, so you would resize it like I showed you, or you can take two of those and then embed it. So we know how to do this. We've done this a couple of times. And then talk about that. So I hope you really, honestly, the more you learn, you've heard me say it third time today, the more you learn about DevTools or whatever is built into the browser of your choice, because every browser has some type of DevTools. And I know I've said this, and I just like Chrome's because of the amount of building that Google has done on it, but most browsers have something, they just may not have the depth. I know Firefox is greatly loved by developers. I know Opera, I don't know if greatly loved by Opera, but it's there as well. Brave is another one. So, it might be fun for some of you to use a different browser and look and find those things. All right, hope this helps you out.